doomed. You've heard me say that probably plenty of times. And a lot of times it's mocking, except for when it comes to Chris Greer and the offensive line. But I'm out with my family to go see Sonic 3. I got up at 4 a.m. in the morning to put together a podcast, put lots of images and studying for hours, racing to get it done, to get out and go out with my family. I'd seen some comments, and you viewers mean a ton to me, so I really wanted to do something good to kind of keep this football focused. And I'm out. I'm like, nobody's paying attention to this thing. I'm like, all right, maybe I just sucks or whatever. But then somebody in the comments said, Tua has been downgraded to doubtful. And my day kind of got trashed. It got trashed setting up something that people don't even want to hear about. And then trashed because I'm like, man, this guy's doubtful in the most critical game. And I'm watching Sonic, and my wife is elbowing me. I got the phone on, and I'm watching Denver versus the Bengals. I'm like, I can't believe this. Miami now is in perfect position to have some kind of miracle postseason run. And Tua is doubtful. Guys, I really take my time to come to a strong evaluation. I've talked years about two things, because you got the haters and then you got the Tua non. I try to go in the middle. I said I wanted Burrow. I didn't like Tua being inserted over Fitzpatrick in 2020. But the talk and rhetoric about him going to 21, I thought was crazy. I showed how he had a quick release. I said, this guy could play. You got to get a run game. You got to build an offensive line. I try to be balanced. I don't think the kid's got a noodle arm. Pennington, when he was with us, that's a noodle arm. He doesn't have a strong arm. He can't throw the out, struggles a little bit on the deep. But this kid can play. People saying he sucks, he's the worst quarterback in the league, was ridiculous. But the same token, saying he was great, better than Burrow, better than whoever, Allen for a while, people were saying, I thought that was crazy too. So this kid can clearly play, but you cannot win with a kid or player that's injured like this. Him being doubtful in this most critical moment is the death knell for everything. I said it was a death knell anyway with Greer. But when you combine Greer, who's inept, a team that is like flim-flam stuck together with scotch tape and like Elmer's glue and broke, and then you add in McDaniel, who I think he could have been something if we developed them properly, but he is clearly still green. He's got his issues. And now you add a huge contract on a player that you cannot depend on. Now, he could be healthy, but we don't have a team. We can't afford to build a team. And now, without a doubt, the Dolphins have to go out and find a quality backup, because you never know. Concussions is a bad thing to have. But for the most part, his body hasn't been damaged, but he hasn't been taking heavy abuse since about 21. And now he got the hit 2 weeks ago, and it's on the damaged hip that he had in college. He's 26 years old. There's no way that this whole thing is going anywhere.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
No matter how much the Hopium pimps push. And it's not because Tua can't do. I like Chris Sims a ton. This team has not been built around Tua. It's been built around Greer's inadequacies. If you had built around Tua, you would have given him an offensive line and a run game and not made him the whole focus. But the whole combination is finito. And this, if he does not play, maybe he does the last moment, but they elevated Skyler, who they don't think's any good, and they got Huntley, so he's probably not going to play. It's time to say no mas. Anything that comes out of the Dolphins front office or anybody who's trying to sell you, you can still keep this thing going, in my evaluations, out of their mind. Sadly, kid's a good kid. I think he's got talent. I don't think he's great. I think he's in the 8 area if you build around him right. This is not built around a kid right. His talents could have been accentuated with a good running game, good offensive line, a good tight end, and one fast receiver and one big receiver. That's what you should have done, and a stable of backs. We didn't. We built all around the fast throw, the hide the inadequacies of the offensive line, accentuate his one trait, and make a scheme style that takes the burden off McDaniel. And now you're pigeonholed into a guy that has got an incredibly damaged hip that no one's really ever come back from. And you got that plus the concussion issue. And when you pull it all together, guys, I'm sorry for the people who love Tua and think, whatever, but you got to be honest. I've tried to be honest. It always puts me at odds with the major groups. One's like, Tua's the worst ever. And the other one, he's the greatest. He's the savior. Some guy even said, I love, man. And I talk to this guy all the time. He's like, your savior is... He's not my... I never, ever said that stuff. But in the middle, if you get rid of it all, the people who don't like Tua were right about one critical thing. You can't win with them because of the injuries. It's a shame. And he said it was no big deal. And now he's been downgraded. This is it. There's no way that Stephen Ross, and if you pull it all together, forget about Tua. People say, the team's doomed for Tua. Yeah, well, okay, the injury part. But look at San Fran with Trey Lance. They spent way more picks. Gave them to us and we squandered them. But they recovered because they had a team. Now we don't have a team. We have a quarterback who is way too inconsistent and a head coach with a nice guy approach that does not work in hard times, and hard times are here. And McDaniel, it's all just a big soup of vomit. I keep thinking, I hate the movie Titanic. I was forced to watch it, and I laughed at the end when Caprio's character died. I can't stand that movie. But that's what it feels like. The Titanic's sinking in the guy's playing the music while the boat's going down. And these are some of the Hopium pimps. Now, the people who don't like Tua, they're in their heyday. And ultimately, the evaluation was correct. I believe the nuances were wrong. I've kind of showed it. You can't suck and do the things that he's done, the numbers, and you'll say against bad teams, but it's a team. You look at Burrow. Burrow is a much better quarterback. I've said that for years. But look how beat up his career has been diminished. And he wins some games. He's gone to the Super Bowl, but he had a way better team. Offensive line was even better. But ultimately, we're at the final stages.
The fires of doom.
This is disaster. Even if Huntley wins, and somehow we go to the postseason, you've got no money, loads of free agents next year, and a quarterback who you can never depend on, ever. And part of it is Tua. He didn't want to wear the helmet, the concussion helmet. And he charged in against the Bills, and he got the concussion. And now he charged in on this 2 weeks ago, and he got hit in the hip. He doesn't have certain elements to take care of himself, and he's so inconsistent with his health, fragile if you want to call it. I mean, certain bodies are designed to take beatings. Josh Allen has a much more durable body. Tua doesn't. And because his hits have been so limited and he's been getting these kind of injuries, it doesn't bode well for any kind of consistency. And there's no way with Greer in charge and all the holes you need to fill, you're going to go out and find a guy. If you're going to find a guy, he's got to fit to his skill set to match this ridiculous build, or you've got to rebuild because no other quarterback who can't throw fast is going to survive. I don't think you understand how bad this offensive line is. and this whole design, and then you add into it, and it is a disaster. And I feel like me doing my podcast yesterday and working my tail off is like, it's symptomatic, it's emblematic of being a Dolphin fan. You invest, and then just some stupid thing comes out. We got a soft GM. What kind of GM hides in the corner when he gets the camera on him? McDaniel's freezing in the cold, and now you got Tua, who obviously he's got talent. You got Kurt Warner saying he's got talent, but this game of football is like life. It's brutal. It's like the truth, and you can't unsee certain things. For me, I can't unsee this. I mean, I knew the past, but I'm like, okay, just don't get your brain rattled. But at this point, guys, the Titanic is going down. There's no stopping it. Getting off the lifeboat and getting out of there is the only way to survive. It's the only reality. All the hoopla and the pimping, it's the guys playing the trumpet and the boat's going down. And Ross, I said a couple of weeks ago, this is his final exam. Greer got talked in, quote unquote, but to McDaniel to extend to I originally said, let's not do it, go on a 5th-year option. I said, we got it, I kind of understand, but now you're locked in. It's got to work. And Greer, all the people, well, he got Brooks this year and Campbell. He got Holland. How's Holland doing? That was a big thing. He got Holland. Holland's no good. Whatever's going on. And then he was tied to Tua. Tua cannot be depended on. He's a guy you put on a really good team, and you've got him there and a guy in the back, and you can keep going. You can bring in a Donald or whatever. But here it is no good. It's over. It's over. Over. Because you never know. Yeah, you could roll the dice and maybe but you're going to have to still build this team. Teams win. Coaching wins. We don't have premier coaching. We don't have a quality team. We have a poor GM and an inconsistent quarterback with talent. Talent. You could still do everything he did with a good offensive line, but it don't matter because you gotta now have somebody. What happens if he gets a concussion or an injury? Like now, at the end of the season, you go in a postseason critical game. Is this about winning Super Bowls? I know there's certain people just hate this guy, and I think it's ridiculous, And like I said, I see people I talk to for years, and they somehow get the vitriol on me. And so there's a blindness there, but there's an accuracy in these people who don't like Tua, and it's the health thing. It's no bueno, and it sucks, but this whole thing is finito. If Greer has got to have his final exam for everyone who's sane. McDaniel, I think he got screwed like Flores in a lot of ways. I think he got screwed like Tua and Tannehill and everybody else. We build like garbage. Somebody put a thing up and said Greer left the Patriots and they had the best drafting period, and he came here and we've had the worst. Ross now, if you have a bad owner, you're screwed so hard. If you have a good owner, a guy who could just do the right thing, you have hope. And then he's got to get the GM, and then that extends the hope. So Ross right now has got to understand he's invested a lot of money on McDaniel, invested a lot of money on Tua. But I don't want to see him cheering on the sidelines for beating the Jets and beating, 49ers. It is his time to do the right thing, and it is gut this thing. And it's a shame because this could have been such an interesting game for football, for evaluation, for hopes. Even if it didn't pan out, you could go in this game and go, oh man, the Broncos, they lost. If we win this one, man, one more week of exciting football. Just for fun. Even if it doesn't pan out, you could be excited. It really doesn't matter.
The fires of doom.
And now, where are we going to go? Are you telling me one draft, given Greer's draft history, is going to get you your key backup quarterback and fill all these holes? It's a fantasy, guys. I guess I go on too long. I had to get this out because it is the germane, most relevant thing. But it is the linchpin to the higher levels. To McDaniel, who talked him into being here, who designed this offense around him. You got a guy who's brittle. Why is he throwing 40 times? Run the football. Build an O-line. And then it goes to the GM who drafted him knowing he had injuries, and all the other guys he's drafted out of injuries. He laughed at the injuries. Is he laughing now? And with all the other stuff, it's time to destroy this thing. Blow it up. Anything other than that is a total waste of time. I'm going to try to cover football today. I got to go to church and come back, and it is terrible to be a Dolphin fan. All the hype, all the hopium is now. It doesn't mean the kid can't play. It doesn't mean you can't get like a riverboat roll for him to stay healthy. But that riverboat roll has to tie into a team. We don't got it. We don't have anything. We don't have a GM. We don't have an elite coach. We don't have a team. And we got a quarterback who you can't depend on. The most important, most expensive piece, dependability is critical. It's terrible. It's terrible. Terrible. I don't even know what to say. I am sorry, fans. I'm sorry for the people who love Tua. I'm sorry for all Dolphin fans. But this is madness. We are soft. A middle linebacker who's playing pretty damn good came out and called you our team soft. People are like, oh, it's not a big deal. Elliott called us soft. Poya called us soft. Ramsey had a soft talk. We are soft. And you want to start with Tua, his body can't handle it. He's not designed for football. Elite release, elite anticipatory throwing, pretty good movement skills. I think he can read pretty well. I don't know if people say he can't read. I don't know. Is it great? I don't know. Is it Manning? No, I don't know. But he can't read. But he can't stay healthy. That's clear. The people who don't like Tua, he can't stay healthy. So that's what you got. That's how you end the season. And the beauty, the last thing, the jiu-jitsu is, does Ross do the right thing? Or does he try to sell us? Garfinkel reminds me of Rasputin in Ross's ear. But maybe Ross is the guy who's just incompetent. This whole thing is finito. Anyway, I probably went on too long. Curtis saying, be well. Go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.